this sense of catalytic unwinding and then the distance from themselves, let alone the distance from each other. Could you describe what you're perceiving to be happening for people in that sense? Because I think there's something really deeply important and kind of profound in that observation.
Sure. I mean, one simple way to say it would be that you bring together a group of executives, some of whom may have worked together for more than a decade, in some cases 20 years. And there's a formality, there's a kind of shielding and guarding. There's a routinized set of conversations that they have that are very far from personal proximity or interpersonal trust. And they don't know there's another option. That really is the sort of social agreement we've all made with each other. And it's, in some ways, it's efficient. In some ways, everybody knows how to get it right. And there's very, very scared parts of us that find reassurance in knowing how to get it right because we're scared to get it wrong. People walk around with a lot of fears that we don't speak about and that we don't name. And so we wind up thinking we're the only one who's scared to be rejected or scared to be alone or scared not to be good enough or scared to be found out in some way. But that's actually quite universal. There's people have walked so much dysfunction and so much difficulty that there's no way that we've wired naturally, for most people, don't have a sort of a natural arising state of self-acceptance and self-blessing and self-expression. So we're distant from each other because we're distant from ourselves. And one of the things we do very early in the program is to invite people to listen to their own life story. And in the listening to each other's life stories, you start to see the sort of, I don't know, universality of human beauty. Every story has loneliness. Many stories have bullying and isolation. Many stories have loss and grief and shock. And every story also has triumph and resilience and tenderness and yearning. And if you hear story on story, if you hear 20 stories over the course of a day, you get that piece of wisdom, which is to have compassion for anything that your colleague might be demonstrating that's less than aligned, less than attractive, less than productive, as simply a symptom of that early hurt. And there's just this beautiful forthcoming waterfall of care and support and understanding and, I don't know, mirroring each other's beauty that happens. And it creates this sort of orbit or cosmos of freedom in which people can start to say what hurts them, what they need. They can start to have a vocabulary of relational requests. How could I ask somebody for emotional support? Many, many professionals know how to ask somebody to do problem solving with them, but they wouldn't necessarily know how to ask somebody to hold them in their grief or to help them with something they're struggling with or to simply sit with them in silence because they need a moment to be with themselves. You know, the much more, there's like an interiority we don't share. But when invited to, people are honored and almost instantaneously touched to do that.